everyone, and welcome to another video. Today I'd like to talk about switching internet service providers. So I'm sitting here next to my current Wi-Fi router from CenturyLink. So we've been with CenturyLink / Quest for probably over a decade, probably around like 11 years, and generally we've been very happy. However, where we live, they only provide DSL service with a maximum of 30 megabits per second download and 1.5 megabits per second upload. And with telecommuting, kids taking classes virtually over Zoom, uploading YouTube videos, all that kind of stuff, it's ended up just being a little bit too slow for our needs. So what we were going to do is upgrade to Comcast / Xfinity. So in this video, I wanted to show you step by step how we switched our ISP to get faster service. So I'll show you how I switched the service as well as how I installed and set up the new network. So if that sounds like fun, why don't we go ahead and get on the phone with Comcast Xfinity and see if we can order some new internet service. And also, just to see if we can quantify how much the internet speeds improve, let's do an internet speed test before we make the full switch over to the cable modem and Xfinity. So let's run this speed test. Again, this is now using my current DSL service through Quest. And again, remember, I'm paying for a theoretically 30 megabits per second download. So I think you can kind of see we're not getting there. And theoretically, 1.5 megabits per second upload. And again, you know, I don't think we're actually going to get there, but you know, this is respectable. So these numbers seem to be similar to what I typically experience. Yeah, so around, you know, a little over 20 megabits per second download, 1 megabit per second upload, and yeah, that seems reasonable. So I've actually taken data points in different conditions, different times of the day over the period of probably the last year. So I'll flash some stats up of that later, but again, this is the sort of the before test. Okay, so I just got off the phone with Xfinity, and it was surprisingly easy to get set up. It only took around 30 minutes, and in this time they made me an Xfinity account, as you can kind of see here. I also had to transfer my landline phone from my old provider of CenturyLink to the new provider of Xfinity. So it was kind of interesting to do this. They actually recorded me verbally consenting to them basically grabbing the phone number and taking over ownership of it. So again, that was pretty easy for me. I didn't really have to do much other than say yes to a couple of questions. And also, they apparently shipped my equipment to me, so that would be the gateway, which is, you know, the modem / router. So I guess we're going to see how long it takes to get here, and we'll be back once the equipment physically arrives here. All right, so actually I am continuing to be impressed with this experience, because look what just showed up at my house. This is literally, I looked at the timestamps, 28 hours after I ordered this on the phone with Xfinity, this box showed up. So yeah, that's just crazy. 28 hours to get here. So let's go ahead, open this up and see what's inside. It's a giant box. Okay, so there's a bunch of stuff inside. Oh, good. Okay, so here, instructions on what to do. I think I'm definitely going to need that. We'll take a look at that later. Let me put that off to the side. This is, I don't know what this is. Some other piece of paper. No problem there. All right, what else? Okay, so I guess there's some... Oh, this is kind of interesting. This kind of looks like it wasn't ever closed, but okay. So I guess we get all of this stuff. Tell you what, let's unbox this later, in the sense that I'm going to move this first big box out of the way. What else is in here? Okay, nothing important there. Some account information. I don't think I need to show that to the screen. Okay, here's the gateway. All right, and let's see. Hey, cool. Okay. It looks like they have an included return label. That's perfect, because I do think eventually I'm not going to want to continue leasing this forever. I think I just wanted to get familiar with their equipment, and then I'll actually go buy my own. So yeah, this is great that they give you something to return it with. Okay, so maybe I'll move this off to the side. I'll actually even maybe save this box. So let's take the gateway out first. So again, nothing special about this box. Yep, okay, some information here on the back. Okay, so let's open this guy up. And let's see, what do we have? Oh, okay. All right, great. So, well, this is actually bigger than I thought. Okay, pretty standard power cable. Let's put that off to the side. And then this guy is boxed up quite nicely. Okay. This is interesting. I've never seen this method of packaging something. Lift for accessories. Okay, great. Throw that away. Again, great. It looks like they give some pretty simple instructions. I'm probably going to need that. Okay, and here's the gateway. So it's an XB3 here. And yeah, great. Okay, so let's move this over here. Take a look. What do we get? Oh, okay, great. We got a coax cable that comes included. We got some Ethernet cables that are included. What is this? Oh, privacy policy. I don't even know what this thing is. Let's open it up. Oh boy, yep, that's a lot of stuff to read and promotions and yeah, well, throw that off to the side. We'll come back to that. What else is in the box? Nothing. Okay, so I think we can get rid of that one. Okay, so let's see what else. Again, that was some of the paperwork that came with the original box. Okay, let's open up this one. I think this has something to do with TV. Yeah, flex box. Yeah, more information. What is this thing? Okay, it's a little box. I don't know. We're going to figure this thing out later. Oh well. Okay, I'm not as concerned about the TV aspect of it. I'm definitely more interested in the internet, but hey, look at this. This is kind of cool. They give you all this stuff. Get a little TV remote. Gosh, do we get batteries with this too? That would be awesome. Yeah, so here's this remote. Again, it's all got all the nice packaging. It's got a little tab that says pull here. What in the world? I assume that's maybe for the battery. So yeah, there must be. Oh yeah, look at that. It looks like it did it come on? Yeah. Okay, so great. So it even has batteries in it. Okay, so let's put the TV stuff there. What else is in the box? Oh, great, HDMI cable. That's nice. They give me one of these. Well, I guess, yeah, quote unquote give, right? Along with my package of almost $100 a month, right? They'll give you stuff. What is this? Probably a power. Oh, great. USB-C charger. Hey, I could use one of these. Okay, great. So you get a USB-C charger. I assume that's how to power the set-top box. And then, okay, more. Oh boy, yeah, more privacy policy stuff. Okay, so, okay, there we go, getting started guide. Okay, so that's everything. Okay, so I think the first order of business is to walk through, read some of these getting started steps and see if we can get the internet routed to the gateway. So we're probably gonna have to play with that coax cable a little bit, and we'll go from there. All right, so before we wire things up, I thought it might be helpful to look at the layout and diagram of what my house looks like. So this is a rough sketch of the layout, and outside, attached to the side of the garage is a cable box. So this is just a big plastic box. It's labeled Comcast Xfinity. It's basically from the internet service provider, and it was installed probably when the house was built. Now, what happens in this box, right, is that there's a cable coming in from the street that comes into this box, and this is from my ISP, right, or from Xfinity, Comcast, whatever. Well, I guess technically not my current ISP, right? My current ISP is through DSL, which is through the phone line. This is a cable, right? This is a coax line, a coaxial. It's an RG6 or an RG11 cable, right? So it comes into this cable box, and then this one cable line is then split out and sent to multiple locations throughout the house. So there's a splitter right here. I think I went in and looked at this, and we'll go outside and take a look at this cable box in a second, but I believe there's a splitter here. It might be like a 3 or a 4-way splitter. And then I feel like some of these other lines, they actually might even have another splitter, like doubled up on top of them, something like this. So now all of these lines that after they get split inside the cable box, they're routed to various locations through the house. So like one of these might go to the office, I think, and then this other one probably goes under the crawl space and gets routed up to the bedroom. And then there's one of them here, which I think goes over here. There's one in like the dining room, and then one of them goes to the bedroom, and then one of these actually goes out to the garage. Okay, so that's one thing to think about. all of these then terminate inside the house. Inside there should be a coaxial outlet on the wall. So instead of 120 volts AC or instead of a telephone line, you might see these types of pictures or these types of outlets in your house where all of these terminate. And what you can do there is you can screw in and attach an RG6 or an RG11 cable to attach this coax cable, right? And all of those will then get routed back to the cable provider, right? So this all makes perfectly good sense. However, the one thing that makes this an issue is that I want to actually have the modem slash Wi-Fi router located here in my living room. So this is where I want my my gateway, right? This is my modem slash router, right, that Comcast basically sent that we just unboxed, right? I need this sitting here because all of my Ethernet cables from all over the house, they come into this location, okay? So what I'm gonna do is, there's a couple of problems you can obviously see from this picture. I don't have a nearby coax outlet that I can use to attach to this gateway. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to come over to this cable box, and what we're going to do is run a separate line underneath the house and pop up here. So this is going to be a new RG6 cable. We're gonna have to go and run this, okay? So a couple of things to think about. One is, let's think about all of these splitters over here. Let me grab, I got a bunch of these, you know, you can, there's splitters that are similar to these types of items. Let me pick up one of these and let me bring it up to the camera and see if you can see this. So here's one of these splitters, okay? And notice, right, at the top it says in. Okay, and then the bottom, these are where the two outputs go. And can you see that thing where it says 3.5 dB? So what I believe that is that's actually negative 3.5 decibels. Right? So one of these splitters here has a gain of negative 3.5 decibels. Now, I'm not an RF person, but you know, I come from a control systems background where if I hear negative 3.5 decibels, I basically know that that's 20 times log base 10 of some gain is equal to minus 3.5. So that's the measurement in decibels. That's the measurement of this attenuation factor K in terms of decibels. So you solve this thing and you see that K is about, I think, about 67, something like that, 0.67. So what this is telling me is that one of these splitters, this thing is basically going to attenuate the incoming signal, so you're only getting 67% of the original value. So this splitter right here, this two-way splitter, is a 0.67 gain. This upstream splitter, I don't know what this one is. You know, let's assume it's another 0.67. So by the time you daisy chain two of these together, you're getting less than half of the signal, right? 0.67 times 0.67, I think it's like, I don't know, 0.44 or something like that. So you get less than half of the signal, okay? So I don't necessarily want to come here and daisy chain yet another splitter on top of these splitters and then connect my green line, because then this green line is going to have much less gain than the original signal from the ISP. Furthermore, I have never ever, in 8 years of living in this house, I've never ever used any of these blue lines, right? I've never had to plug anything into the wall using a coax cable. So all of these blue lines are kind of useless to me, right? I really just care about this green line, which is going to be going from my gateway and my modem directly to my ISP. So here's what I'm going to do when I go out there is we are actually going to go and we are going to disconnect all of these splitters of the blue line. So right here, I'm going to break the line right here. I'm just going to disconnect it, okay? And then I'm going to route my green line directly to the ISP. So yes, all of these blue lines will now be dead. They're not going to be connected to anything, but again, I've never ever had to use them once. Instead, all I care about is this green line. So if I do this, I'll basically bypass all of the splitters that are sitting out there in the cable box, and I hopefully should get a 100% direct signal with no gain and attenuation between the ISP and my gateway. So that's the game plan. So why don't we go and walk out to the cable box. We'll take a look at this setup. setup, disconnect this, connect our green RG6 cable. In fact, let me see. I think I'll show you. I just bought this. I went to a you know, a hardware store and bought 100 feet of this RG6 cable. So let's go ahead, connect it up to the cable box, run it underneath the house, punch a hole up through the floor so that we can go basically attach it to and route the cable to the gateway. So all right, that's the game plan. Why don't we run outside and get working on that? All right, so here we are outside the garage, and here's the cable box. So let's go ahead and just open them up, and I'll show you what I've done. So as you can see, this is the existing setup, and you know, here is the line coming in from the ISP, from the service provider, and it goes into, you can see, here we go. This is the problem I was talking about. You got this four-way daisy chain or splitter, which is then daisy chained to this two-way splitter. So again, all of these feed all of those outlets that I really don't care about. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I've routed, this is my new shiny RG6 cable that I bought and routed, and this is going to the living room where I want to connect the hookup or connect my gateway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect this right here. So there, okay, disconnect. So now all of these outlets inside the house are now dead. They're not doing anything, right? But I don't care about any of those. I want to basically take my wire that I routed specially for this internet application and hook that up, tighten him down, and hopefully we should be good to go at this point. So now basically we got the signal directly connected from the ISP directly to the to that outlet in the living room where I can now hook up the gateway. So all right, let's go over and hook up the gateway slash modem slash router. All right, so it took a little bit of finagling, but right, we routed the wire as we saw, and I got it up into the house, into the living room, and now I've just got the RG6 coming in through here, and here it is. It's ready to be plugged into the gateway slash modem here. So the next thing to do is actually, I went ahead and got the Xfinity app on my phone, because they have some nice steps. So, all right, I got this thing installed. So go ahead and let's hit get started, all right? Now, you're gonna have to identify your gateway and basically give it the CMAC address. I tried using this camera to shoot the QR code multiple times, it didn't work. So you have to come in here and manually enter in your CMAC address slash number. So I'm gonna go do that, and we'll be back in a second. Okay, so we input the CMAC address manually, and now here we are. It says find an active cable outlet. Yep, that's exactly what we spent all this time routing, that dedicated cable outlet for this application. So next, sure, boost it, put it a little bit higher off the ground. That's fine. I think we've got it located all right. Okay, connect the coax cable. That is exactly what we did. So it is now connected to the back. In fact, here, let me show you. So on the back, there you can see the coax cable on the top is connected. Okay, so after that, the next thing we need to do is connect your phone, right? We do have a landline phone. So that is what I did. So you can see there it is, the gray line up there going into the Tel 1 port. So that's connected, and then power up the gateway. So yep, I got this powered down here on the bottom. We've got some lights blinking on the back. The front of the gateway, I don't know if you can see that easily, but yeah, you can see there's a bunch of lights flashing. Okay, so I think we are ready to go. So let's hit ready to go. Okay, and we're gonna make sure everything is connected, and let's hit check connection. And okay, we'll give this a minute or so, and we'll be back in a second. All right, so that looks like it was successful. So here we go. It says name your Wi-Fi network. So I'm going to go give it a name and a password, and we'll be back in a second. All right, so I set up the Wi-Fi ID and the password, and I basically hit confirm. And now look at this. It says it's setting up Wi-Fi. All right. All right, so it looked like that finished up, but it looks like we need to, what does it say, text an agent to get my voice service set up. Okay, so I'm going to click on here, text an agent. Okay, and I guess I'm going to hit text and send this text, and we'll see what happens. Okay, be back in a second. All right, so I'm continuing to be impressed with Xfinity's efficiency. So I sent that text, and actually this is a Saturday morning, so I was a little worried that nothing was going to happen until Monday, but they actually, someone, like an actual representative, called me back within like 60 seconds, and they helped me get it set up. So you can see now I think they did here. You can see the Tel 1 line is now solid. We had to reboot this a couple of times. I mean, it did take about 15 minutes on the phone with the agent, but she helped me get the modem, the gateway rebooted, and now we've got the phone line. And if you pick this up, can you hear that? You actually get a dial tone. So, all right, the landline is set up, and I've tested this. This is actually kind of interesting. I can dial out on this phone, and I call someone, and the caller ID when I call via the landline, it shows up as the correct phone number. But when I call that same phone number, my house phone number, this phone actually doesn't ring. My old phone, which is hooked into my the wall, right? It's my old phone provider, which was CenturyLink. That still rings. So there's a little bit of a hiccup still, but I think I need to call CenturyLink, my old provider, have them cancel their service on the phone. So hopefully that phone number will then be fully owned by Xfinity, and it'll be provisioned to them, and then it will ring to this line. So we're about halfway set up with the landline, but really I don't really care so much about the landline. It's really more just an emergency usage. What I more care about is the internet. So let's go ahead and let's continue. All right, so now let's try to get the hardwired Ethernet back up and running. Previously, I was running all of those hardwired Ethernet connections through a pretty silly switch. This was giving me trouble just now. I don't know if it's just because maybe the switch is old and finally busted, or it's got an older protocol, or I don't know. So instead, what we're going to do is let's just plug the Ethernet directly into the back of the gateway and see if that does better. So, okay, I've got two connections, one here and one there. And let's go see if we can get this guy up and running now. All right, and one other thing I wanted to show is one of the reasons I needed to get that hard-wired Ethernet line set up is because we have a cell booster. This is a AT&T microcell. We have horrible cell service at our house, so we had to get this booster. This booster needs to be connected to an internet connection via a hardline Ethernet cable. And again, after switching over to the new ISP, this pretty much seamlessly transitioned over. So I just had to plug the microcell here right directly into the rear of the gateway, and it pretty much works straight away. So in fact, I can show you right now. Let's take a look at the cell phone. Oh boy, that's really hard to see, isn't it? Oh, there, up at the top, you can see pretty much full bars. If it would zoom in on it, I guess it's not. I guess you're gonna have to take my word for it. But anyway, yeah, this seems to work great. So the Xfinity hooking up with the new gateway / router via the hardline Ethernet connection works perfectly for the microcell. All right, so now that we've got all the internet set up, both the wireless and the hardline Ethernet, let's turn our attention now to getting the landline telephone switched over. So again, this is a picture that we drew for how the RG6, the coaxial cable, was routed through the house and routed back to the cable box. Now, what we can do is we can modify this picture ever so slightly. So now instead of drawing where the RG6 coax cable is going through the house, let's talk now about how is the phone line, right? So the phone line now is not RG6 coax cable any longer, right? It's like an RJ11 or an RJ14 telephone line, right? So it's this kind of connection, right? And this basically plugs into, yeah, like an old school, a normal landline telephone just in the back, right? Something like this. Right? And similarly, we've got this RJ11 or RJ14 cable all over. In fact, let's just relabel all of these blue lines. And now these blue lines, let's talk about them as being, how about blue is now RJ11 or RJ14. right? It's phone line. So now, actually, all of these phone lines are wired back not to the cable box, not to a box holding all the coax cables, but we can just change the name of this. This is now back to the telephone box. We'll go take a look at this. I'll show you. It's actually located right next to the cable box. It's like this. And again, this is now, it's not from the ISP, it's from the telephone company, right? Which in my case, it used to be CenturyLink / Quest. And again, like we said, this is not a coaxial cable anymore. This is an RJ11 cable coming in. And let's erase this green line, right? This green line, if you remember, this used to be this was the new RG6 coax cable line that we were connecting to the cable modem. Okay, so let me just go ahead and I guess I can erase it completely. All right, the modem is still sitting out over here, so this still looks okay. Okay, and now, uh-oh, my black pen is dying. That's all right. Let's draw this the way it is currently hooked up. It's like this, right? So the telephone company, CenturyLink or Quest, right? They run a RJ11 cable into the telephone box, right? So this comes in, then it's spliced in and hooked out to all of the existing infrastructure of the RJ11 or the RJ14, which goes all over the house. And I do want to make use of this, right? So in the previous case where we were talking about the coax cable, I said I'm never going to be using coax cable in all the other lines, so I really didn't care about running a single dedicated coax cable to the gateway modem to the ISP. But now in this case, what I do want to do is I actually want to break the connection here. So I don't want to be getting the dial tone or the phone service from my telephone company anymore. So I'm going to delete that line. So what we're going to have to do is go out to the telephone box and actually disconnect from the telephone company here, right? So I don't want any voltage coming in from the telephone company and then feeding through these lines, because all of these lines, they currently are hooked up to phones throughout the house. So I've got a speakerphone in the office, we've got some phones in the bedroom, and I want to use the existing infrastructure of wiring that's already in the house, okay? So luckily, that's pretty easy, because what happens is there is actually a phone jack, right? All of these blue lines, they terminated at phone jacks in the wall, right? They terminated at RJ11 or RJ14 female receptacles, where you can go and basically plug in the phone line we were talking about earlier into the wall. And they all come back and they're all tied together back here in the telephone box. Now, the one great thing is there's also one of these lines which is wired all the way here, right near to where I have the gateway modem located in the living room. So what I actually need to do is, this is actually surprisingly simple, is all we have to do is literally plug in one end to the back of the cable modem, okay? There's a special RJ11 port on the back of the cable modem. The cable modem, right, is talking to my ISP, and who's going to give me the dial tone and landline telephone service. So it's effectively voice over IP at this point, right? So I'm going to plug in here and then take the other end and plug it into the jack here, right next to it. So literally, all I have to do is add this connection here. So I just make this connection. Now, this will now be connected to every other phone outlet throughout the house, because they're all tied back and joined to a common back here at this telephone box. So two things we have to do. Again, we have to, one, make sure we disconnect from the phone company, because I don't want voltage coming in from the phone company and then making its way to the gateway modem and potentially frying or damaging my, my cable modem here, right? So I'm going to disconnect completely from the phone company. Then I'm going to use the gateway modem here to connect every phone in the house back to itself, like this, right? So hopefully this will be an elegant solution where I literally only have to make one connection right here, and hopefully all of the landline telephones in the house should work. So that's the game plan. Let's go back to the telephone box. I'll show you about making this. We're going to disconnect here, and yeah, then we'll give it a try. All right, so here we are back. Remember, that was the cable box we were opening last time, and now we're just going to move over here to the telephone box. In fact, if you look at this, what does it say? It says telephone network interface. So if we pull this one open, you'll see that it's actually pretty simple. I think all we're going to have to do, these are test jacks right here. So I believe coming in from the phone company is through here, then it comes through this test jack and then goes out to all of the wires in your house. So all of our connections come back here as we just discussed on the whiteboard. So all I'm going to do is basically just pop this RJ11 connector out here in the top one, pop them out on the bottom one, and basically we've now disconnected from the telephone company. So that's literally it. I think we're just gonna pop those off. Maybe I should tape these up and basically say do not reconnect, right? Because I don't want someone to come back here and reconnect from the telephone company and then have it connected back to my gateway modem. So I'll tape those up, and then all we have to do is basically shut this. That was literally it. Now let's go back into the house and see if we can connect the gateway modem, the telephone line, to one of the wall outlets. All right, so here we are at the back of the gateway modem. I've just pulled it out a little, and as you can see, all I've done is plugged in a RJ11 cable into the back of it here into the telephone port. Okay, so this wire just goes back and then comes over here and is now plugged into one of the existing jacks that was already right next to it in the house. So theoretically that should be everything. So tell you what, let's wander over here. Whoops, sorry. Let me turn on some lights so we can see what's going on. Let's come over to this speakerphone that is sitting here in the office, and we'll see if we get a dial tone now. Look at that! Success! So this guy is now hooked up, and theoretically, every other phone in the house should also be hooked up as well. All right, so now that we've got the hardwired Ethernet all connected, let's go ahead and run another speed test and see how this goes. And we'll compare this with what we had last time. And gosh, as you can see right away, this is doing a lot better than what we had on DSL. I would say it's probably like a factor of 4 or 5. So let's take a look here. Yeah, look at that, 90 megabits per second download. So again, not near what we're paying for, but again, maybe there's a lot of people using it right now. But yeah, look at that. That is much better than before. In fact, let me show you. Here's what we had before. I've been compiling some data over the last year or so. So on DSL, look at these. You know, it never exceeded 30 megabits per second. And in fact, sometimes it even got horrible. Look at this, less than 1 megabit per second. There might have been something wrong with my system at that point. But same thing, in terms of upload, the best I was getting for upload is 1 megabit per second. So now, look at some of these data points now today. We are doing great. 89 megabits per second, you know, and a factor of 5 increase in terms of upload speed. And again, that is on the hardwired Ethernet. You know what we should do? Tell you what, let me unplug the hardwired Ethernet from the computer. There we go. Okay, so I yanked the cable. Okay, and now let's test to make sure that the wireless works. So I'll just go ahead and connect to my my wireless. Okay, using the identification that we had set up earlier. So here we go, connected. All right, that's looking awesome. We're all set. Let's just double check to make sure that this is all working. If we go to YouTube. We'll make sure that my wireless is working. Yep, wireless is working great. Let's come back over here and run this speed test again and see how we do on wireless. Oh, wow! Holy smokes! Look at that! Wow, there must be something up with my switch. This is way better on wireless. Gosh, I'm going to go wireless from now on. That was much better, although, ooh, okay, I guess upload is, well, this is awesome. This is blowing my mind. This is great. Look at this. Wireless. Oh man, this is more than I'm paying for, right? I think I was paying for 200 megabits per second and 5 megabits per second upload. And look at this. This is great. And again, compare these numbers. 230 megs per second download versus, you know, so we're talking like a factor of 10, an order of magnitude faster download, and at least 5 times faster upload. So this is great. Oh, I know what else we should test. While we're at it, let's make sure that the VPN works. So I've got a VPN for the University of Washington. Let me just go ahead and see if I can sign in and see if the VPN works over this new ISP. I can't imagine there would be any issues. There we are. Looks like we are connected. Let me make sure I can check out a license over the VPN. So for example, with Mathematica, if I go ahead and fire that up, we should hopefully be able to check out a license. There we go. Yep, x equals 1, shift enter. Let's make sure that we've got this thing actually running and talking to the current. Yeah, look at that. Great. So it works with the VPN. I've also tested this with my my work computer. That works great. My wife's work computer works awesome as well. So again, this is working swimmingly, I think, in terms of better performance and ease of switching over to this new ISP. All right, so let's take a look at how much we're paying for all of this new performance. So over here on the left, this is my old bill of how much I was paying CenturyLink. So you can see it's over $80 a month for my old DSL service. And now, let's see, what are we paying here on Xfinity? So look at this, $74. So I'm actually paying less for this, order of magnitude faster internet service. Now, that being said, check this out. Right now, I'm still on this. I've got this $20 service discount, which is kind of this temporary promotion. So you can see by the time that expires, I will end up I'll be paying more than I used to. Now, what I plan to do is offset that, because right now, if you also look down here, what Xfinity wants to do and how they set you up initially is they allow you to rent the cable modem or that gateway for $14 a month. So that's what I'm doing, because I didn't want to play around with setting up my own right now. But what I eventually plan on doing is returning that the equipment that I'm currently renting for $14 a month, and I'll go buy my own cable modem and use that. So you can see that this $14 rental fee, if I stop paying that, that will kind of negate the $20 that I'll have to be paying coming in November. So, at the end of the day, in terms of monetary amounts, it's about a wash, right? You can kind of see, at steady state, I'm hoping to be paying still around $80-ish a month for internet. However, it's going to be about an order of magnitude faster. So I'm really kicking myself that I didn't make this switch earlier. All right, so one component that I actually kind of didn't film in incredible detail, but I thought I would just show you is, again, the TV box that comes with the package. So here it is. I've hooked it up via HDMI to my TV, and surprisingly, again, the setup process was pretty simple, and actually the remote that comes with the Xfinity package seems to work pretty flawlessly with my TV. So for example, right, I can hit the power button on this remote and it will turn on the TV, and now I can again leverage this TV box for watching TV where though to be perfectly honest, this is like the second time in like 4 months that I've turned this on, and in fact the only thing I really found useful about this is actually, again, you can click down here and use the remote, and for example, look, get the YouTube app, and here I can actually sign in as myself. So example right here, and now I've got basically YouTube on the TV. So again, the channels work well. So for example, and the volume control, I can turn the volume down, whatnot, and yeah, it seems to work okay. So this is another small bonus that I wasn't anticipating on using a whole lot, but I guess it is nice to have another option to have ability to watch YouTube or other stuff on the TV through the internet service provider. All right, so there you have it. That was my experience switching my internet service provider from CenturyLink and old school DSL, and finally coming into the quote-unquote modern age with Xfinity and a cable modem. So as you saw, the performance was greatly improved. The price is about the same. The thing that's still on my list, though, is I do still need to return the gateway/modem that I'm renting from my ISP and get my own. So I think that's going to be the topic of a future video. video. The only other kind of hiccups that I think I experienced during this entire process, again, it was surprisingly smooth and worked very well and easily. The only issue was that landline phone. So I guess there was a couple of phone calls that I had to make, both to my old telephone provider, CenturyLink, and the new provider, Xfinity, and they had to work out who owned the telephone number in order to get that so the phone number would ring correctly when someone dialed it versus when I dialed out on the landline. But again, a landline phone in this day and age is starting to go the way of the dodo, so I'm not sure how much longer I'm actually going to need a landline. Although, since I live in a spot with kind of spotty cell service, it really is nice to have something as kind of a backup. So with that being said, I think this is probably a great spot to leave it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if so, I also hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel. Surprisingly, if you scroll down a little ways and click on that subscribe button, it really does help me continue making these videos. You can also support the channel on Patreon. I would really appreciate that, and as it helps me continue making educational videos and tutorials. And speaking of the new videos, remember, they come out every Monday, so I hope I'll catch you at one of these future discussions and we can all learn something new together. So until we talk again, I think I'm going to sign off. Talk to you later. Bye.